morning, lovelies. The Beatitudes. Let's talk about it. Jesus, coffee. Little different angle this morning because someone forgot their tripod at their daughter's house. Whoopsie. So this morning I really want to start to dig into the Beatitudes. Really, personally, I'm going to start digging hard into the Sermon on the Mount. I want to go into what my commentary says about the Beatitudes. First of all, just to be the introduction to the Beatitudes, I want to read it, and I want to read through the first Beatitude, which is Matthew 5. So we'll read through Matthew 5, 1 through 3 this morning. And I know I've kind of touched on the Beatitudes before, but I really want to go over and dig into them. Why? I feel a personal conviction that I want to go through the Sermon on the Mount front to back. Personally, I can take you along on that journey. We can go walk that together. But I want to dig through that because it really comes down to an inward look, introspective look. I think that I could be a better son in the kingdom if I change. Really, it's what it comes down to. Is if I change. There are things I don't like when I look through the Sermon on the Mount. There are things I can do much better. There are things where God can lead me much better. God's showing me a lot of things in the Sermon on the Mount and leading me to the Sermon on the Mount a lot. And I believe he's trying to say, hey, let's clean some things up. We got some messy spots in the yard. Let's clean them up. And I feel a true conviction to want to go through and do that. So I'm going to take a long travel through the Sermon on the Mount with the Lord. A lot of time, a lot of father-son time there. But I want to go through the Beatitudes, really where it starts. Good morning, Felipe. And I love what A.W. Tozer and what you'll see in what the commentary says, what A.W. Tozer says about the Beatitudes. So I want to read through the Beatitudes first. So Matthew 5, verses 1 through 3. And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So, when we read through the Bible, people often read through the Bible literally, like poor in spirit. Well, what do you mean? So, like destitute, like broke, like no, poor in spirit. I want to go through what the commentary says. And guys, this is why I say like things like a commentary are great tools to have when you want to dig into the Word of God. Because what you're doing is you're getting a theologian's perspective on the Bible. And you basically have God sitting right with you, and you have a theologian at the ready. You have a theologian at your disposal. So the sermon opens with the Beatitudes, or blessings. These set forth the ideal citizen of Christ's kingdom. So there you go. So what are the Beatitudes? The Beatitudes are the characteristics of a ideal citizen of heaven. The qualities described and approved are the opposite of world values. Wow. So a Christ follower is a polar opposite of what the world views and the world's values. Wow. Right? A.W. Tozer describes them as follows: a fairly accurate description of the human race might be furnished, one unacquainted with it, by taking the Beatitudes, turning them wrong side out and saying, here's your human race. So basically, if the Beatitudes were a piece of clothing, he would turn them inside out and go, here's what the human race thinks. Here's what the world sees as right. Completely inside out. Complete polar opposite of what Christ sees as an ideal citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Now you understand why I want to do just such a deep dig, because I feel like there are spots where I'm not where I want to be. And I think that that's why so often when I'm listening to worship music, I get torn up because there's conviction there that Christ died for my sins. And do I keep piling them up and piling them on and piling them on and piling them on? I'm like, stop already. Will you please stop? Stop already. Like, it's so easy to flip the switch and turn. Like Friday night, I got frustrated at the lanes. I had my daughter with me. Frustrated at the lanes. The approaches were wretched. And you guys know my left knee is not 100%. It's about 50% at best. So the approaches were wretched, caused me to stick a lot, and it caused a lot of pressure on my knee. And it equated to a lot of pain, which caused naturally my performance to be hampered through 2 horrendous games, and started to feel my flesh grab hold, and might have dropped a few uncursory words did need to be said. So yeah, but it was so easy to do it. Like, so easy to do it. Like, hey, throw a couple bad shots. That was okay for a while, and then just, yeah. So deep dig needed for me. There's a lot of growth opportunity and a lot of change opportunity. But I look through these characteristics, and these are the characteristics. I want to share these with you because these are good characteristics. So I want to read through what he says about 5:3. The first blessing is pronounced on the poor in spirit. This does not refer to natural disposition, but to one's deliberate choice and discipline. The poor in spirit are those who acknowledge their own helplessness and rely on God's omnipotence. So poor in spirit are those who realize, look, Lord, I'm weak, I can't do this, and I need you. So they are coming before the Lord humbly. Really, this is humility. Look, Lord, I'm broken. I can't do this. It's not me. I can't do it. I need you to do this. I need you. You're the only one that can change me. I'm coming to you in dependence because I know that I need you for this. Poor in spirit are those who, so they acknowledge their own helplessness and rely on God's omnipotence. They sense their spiritual need and find it supplied in the Lord. The kingdom of heaven, where self-sufficiency has no virtue and self-exaltation is a vice. This blessing belongs to such people. So, in a world where we want self-help books, self-help, guys like, I think it's Tony Robbins, are all about self-help. Self-help, self-help, self-help. No, not self. Self is bad. It's not about self-sufficiency. It's not about self-help. It's not about self-exaltation, self-reliance. It's about dependence on the Lord, His sufficiency, His grace. He's sufficient. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is perfected in your weakness. He doesn't say your sufficiencies, your grace is sufficiency for yourself. Your power is perfected in your weakness. No. He said, my power is perfected in your weakness. What is the theologian say in the commentary? It's dependence on the Lord. It's us coming to Him, admitting we're helpless. We need Him. We're not exalting ourselves. Hey, did you see what I did? No. The thing that I did should be falling at the cross and saying, I can't do this, Lord. I need you. You can do this. I know you can. That is, blessed are the poor in spirit. Those that admit in their weakness and depend on God's strength. He is omnipotent. He can do everything. Yes, that's my life verse, 2 Corinthians 12:9. And then Paul goes on to say, for I would rather gladly boast of my infirmities or my weaknesses, to know that the power of Christ rests upon me. So, beginning of the Beatitudes. And there's so much I'll unpack through the Sermon on the Mount. This will be a long run, and there will be a lot of things that we'll tear apart and discuss through the Sermon on the Mount. But the Sermon on the Mount's long. There's a lot of teachings there. A lot of those teachings intertwine with each other. Phone got paused for an Amber Alert. Sorry about that. So poor in spirit. So that's the beginning of the Beatitudes. Yes, without Jesus we can do nothing. He is the vine, we are the branch. Without Him we can do nothing. A branch, when it falls off of a tree, you can't plant a branch in the ground and it will grow. Once it falls off the tree and it loses its connection with the vine, it is dead. Same thing happens with us. But those branches that cling to that vine and know that we can't grow without you are the poor in spirit. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So, I love you guys. He loves you like crazy. And Dad and I are about to go on a long walk together. Much needed walk together. Many areas of my life that need to be changed, need to be tuned up, need to be tweaked. And I got the prescription from the doctor. And it's called the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. So, we'll be back tomorrow with whatever Dad wants to talk about. I love you guys.